On the 19th of December 2019, that's when Mikel Arteta was made the permanent manager for the club of Arsenal. And since then, he is gonna mark 7 years at the club of Arsenal, if at all he really completes this year when he's still the manager of Arsenal. But looks like things are not really moving on well as planned for him at the club of Arsenal, because several reports are emerging that they want him out. And guess who they are really trying to replace him with? It's a former Gunner captain, and he was really one of those players that played very well at Arsenal, but his exit was really very bad for the fans of Arsenal. And I don't know whether they'll ever forgive him as a player, because he forced his move out of Arsenal, and however much Barcelona was not willing to obviously meet the price that Arsenal called in for, his signing, the player went ahead to obviously pay for his exit out of Arsenal, and that is Fabregas. Welcome to the Rokani Media football channel. Smash the like button, comment and share. If you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. And this guy known as Cesc Fabregas completed his move to Barcelona on August 15th, 2011, and he was sold for 29 million euros plus 5 million euros of add-ons, and 5 million euros in variables and an additional 5 million euros from the players' wages. You understand? So that means he went for close to 40 million euros. He signed a 5-year contract at Barcelona, where he later left. So he never really long lasted at that particular side in here onto the Rokani Media football. But the reports, well, I've gone ahead to obviously report that Cesc Fabregas is attracting interest from Arsenal and Chelsea due to his impressive coaching start at Como. Then another source known as the Top Skill Sport UK have confirmed to us that Arsenal could make a major managerial decision this summer. If Mikel Arteta fails to win the Premier League, the club will be considering sacking him. Former captain Cesc Fabregas has already been identified as a potential successor for Mikel Arteta. Now, where should I start? The successor that they want to bring in has already gone ahead to give Mikel Arteta his flowers. Now, when people doubted Mikel Arteta, in 2020, remember, he really had a horrible start at the club of Arsenal. You understand? Guess what Cesc Fabregas went ahead to obviously say about Mikel Arteta? He said, I think Arteta has done well so far, and I'm sure he's brought back some values to the club that was needed. He's been with Pep Guardiola for 3 years, and I'm sure he's like a master for any young coach that wants to start being a manager. You get? Those are the words that Cesc Fabregas came up and obviously said about Mikel Arteta in 2020, when people were like, he's supposed to leave and go. You understand? Now, in recently, Cesc Fabregas, on the importance of Arsenal backing Mikel Arteta, he said this when Edu that was in 2024. He said, it is all about Edu and the owners giving him the time and the right tools to prove himself. When this happens, the structure, the vision, and the trust comes together, and this happens. That's why I'm happy. I always use them as an example. The first 2 years of Mikel in any other club or someone else managing the situation could have just got rid of Mikel and said, we are moving to another direction. But they had a clear plan, a clear process. They had the right steps. They invested in young quality players, and now you get all the results of those ups and downs of the first 2 or 3 years. They are there. They have done really well, and they're a proper example of how football should be done. Now, let me tell you, Cesc Fabregas is one of the players that I do believe is a good manager. And he believes in Mikel Arteta. And the problem that clubs have gone ahead to do, or anyone else who is really coming up with this story, is simple. They've gone ahead to obviously come up and really try to compare him with this guy known as Mikel Arteta. Now, where Arsenal is, they had taken years without being there. When did you last see Arsenal playing a Champions League semi-final? That was in 2009, when United went ahead to obviously tear them apart. Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney just went ahead to tear them apart. And after tearing them apart, guess what happened? It took them how many other years to play a Champions League semi-final? 2009, 2024, those are how many years? 15 years later, that's when it was really played. So, don't come out here and really try to paint an image that the club. Don't try to come out and really paint an image that Arteta has not won a trophy and he deserves to obviously leave. You understand? Don't come up and really put out such a narrative. You understand? Don't come and really put out such a narrative. I tell you, it is very, very bad and very uncalled for, because teams that have gone ahead to taste success have kept their managers around, And this guy that we are talking about, Mikel Arteta, for 4 consecutive seasons, Arsenal has been competing for the Premier League trophy. You get? And I think it's not by his own doing that Arsenal has not gone ahead to win the trophy. I think it's the club's doing, because this man would have gone ahead to be calling in for players. But have they given them the players the January transfer window? Last season, I tell you, no manager wouldn't have gone ahead to say, get me a forward, when all your forwards are really injured. You get? The club was okay with it. You understand? They would have gone to bring in Kvaratskhelia or any other forward to help Arsenal really win the trophy. They couldn't, and Arsenal went ahead to lose the trophy. You understand? So, from there, Arsenal went ahead to find themselves in a situation of really coming into the January transfer window when Mikel Merino is injured. Who else was injured in the midfield? And there was an ex-Premier League player who could come in through for less than £15 million from Saudi Pro League to come to the Premier League. That is Ruben Neves. And they never really brought him in. Yet, if Arsenal had a Ruben Neves right now, they would have gone ahead to be in a much better position. Because look at the game they are playing tomorrow. Declan Rice is away. They are playing City over the weekend. No one knows where Declan Rice will obviously make it to play that beautiful game of football. So their midfield is obviously going to be really going to be lightweight. So I think Arteta has done what he's supposed to be doing, and I think he deserves one more season with Andre Bata, one more recruitment, because he has done it all. And I don't believe that Cesc Fabregas is the right manager to come and replace this guy. For that, I won't agree with anyone who tells me that Arteta should be replaced by Cesc Fabregas. Why? Going ahead to succeed in Italian Serie A doesn't really give you guarantee that you'll obviously come up here and obviously succeed in the Premier League. That's it. That's really very, very, very bad. And for anyone who thinks like that, I think he's just really wrong. He or she is just wrong. Managing Como is really one of those moments that I think many want to share in there. But I don't want anyone to come in here and lie to himself that Cesc Fabregas should be manager to replace this guy. For me, all I think is, if there is anything near to Mikel Arteta, it should be the likes of Enrique, Hans Flink, those managers that are really seasonal winners. You understand? For me, that is something that I could obviously bring close to this manager. But apart from that, I don't really see anything else coming in through to obviously represent or replace Mikel Arteta. I believe he has been taking on one of the best managers in the world, that is Pep Guardiola, who went ahead, obviously outsmart Jurgen Klopp, a man who had experience from Borussia Dortmund, Mainz, and so on and so forth. And in his era, he only won one Premier League, and most of those were taken by Pep Guardiola. That's the man we are talking about. And now someone is coming out here trying to paint an image that Cesc Fabregas can come and replace Mikel Arteta. I cannot really rule it out totally that he can fail at Arsenal, but I tell you, he will have a hard time at Arsenal. I repeat it. He will have a hard time at a club known as Arsenal. That is it. It won't be an easy job. Yet, for Arteta, he just lacks two creative players, especially in his wide flanks. If it's possible, they can get rid of Trossard, get rid of Martinelli, and bring in two vibrant left forwards. One more midfielder, because I know Nogard is obviously going to be shown the exit door in there. Get in a right back. Four of those players, they come in throughout the club of Arsenal. Arsenal will tear apart any team. That is it, because Arsenal lacks creativity from those sides. But Fabregas is still an upcoming manager, and if I'm Fabregas, I wouldn't accept a job, that is that is of a big club. From Como, maybe go to a team like Atalanta, teams like those. From there, or you go to Spanish La Liga, or you come to the Premier League and manage teams like Brighton, teams like those, and then you obviously try out your system, because when you look at Como and the system they play, it's totally different from the system that Arteta really plays. When you look at Como, they were beaten on Sunday by Inter Milan. It ended 4-3 in there for you. And the system he plays as Como, he played a 4-2-3-1, but he most of the times plays with a back three, And I think right now Arsenal doesn't need to be distorted to getting to a back three. But what he has shown us is that he's really one of those managers that is really very, very dynamic, and he can obviously shift from a back four to a back three. But I believe Arteta is the main guy, and they can really have him here for long. Now, Arsenal fans, one of the factors that you should consider not letting this guy go is, how do you want to get rid of a manager that teams like Barcelona, Real Madrid, Man City are really interested in? And let me tell you this. If City wins the Premier League and Arsenal sacks Mikel Arteta, City will recruit Mikel Arteta immediately. And what will you guys say? And he'll come and beat you. I tell you this. So, please, don't groom a weapon for your opponent. You get Arteta in here and get to know that, look at the levels of players that you are having and the levels you're supposed to obviously be having. Get him in those four players, two left forwards, a right back, a midfielder, I think they're five, plus a center forward in a Julian Alvarez. And you see whether he really fails to win a trophy. Because we've seen to it that Arsenal is struggling to obviously play against teams with low blocks. That is it. It's written all over the wall. Arsenal is struggling to beat teams that really have low blocks. So this is where I come here and really let you know that something has to be done. And what has to be done, you know better. So guys, thank you very much for watching through. Rokani David is my name, and hope you guys are really having fun. Continue to subscribe, and let's wait and see how things really pan out exactly at this particular juncture. I love you all, and thank you for obviously being here. And I know that you guys are really having fantastic fun. And this is what we do in here onto what we call the Rokani Media Football. I'm waiting for your reactions in the comment section below. And it's really very, very, very important to really bring you this second video of the day. And I'm coming back with the match reaction of the Champions League. Arsenal need to know their fate. If they beat or knock out Sporting Lisbon tomorrow, who will they be facing in the semi-finals of the UEFA Champions League? But your thoughts on Mikel Arteta's replacement identified are welcome in the comment section below. Should Arteta be sacked or not?